Hello, everyone, and welcome on into another Unapologetic Woman Hour. Today, we are talking about being unapologetic with the communication we have with other people and marketing, how to ask for what you want to ask for. And I have the pleasure of being with Janet to dive a little bit deeper into her story around this and some ways that she helps empower people with marketing and talking on the phone in particular. So we're going to dive deep in this conversation. But before we do, Janet, I'd love for you to share with everyone a little bit about who you are and who you serve.
Thank you so much, Tracy, and I'm excited to be here. My name's Janet Schick. I'm in Orlando, Florida, and I do marketing, and I do different types of marketing, but one of the things that I really specialize in and have been doing for over 20 years is telephone marketing, primarily outbound. I don't call it telemarketing. It's very high quality, really making the calls count and making them quality and knowing that I'm there to make a really positive impression and I'm looking for the long-term outlook.
I love that. So you say it's not telemarketing, it is that deeper connection with people. So
yeah,
give me a little bit of a background. Like, how did you just decide you wanted to get on the phone and ask people to buy stuff?
Well, good question. I tell you, it started in 2001. The Marriott had an ad says work part-time, make full-time. And I was kind of going through a lot of, I call it a crisis in my life. I had 4 young children. So it was part-time work, working from like 5 to 9 in the evening in their call center here in Central Florida. And I thought, well, I'm a skeptic. I don't know about all this telemarketing stuff. And it was for their timeshare, I should say, vacation club. But I knew Marriott was a credible company. So I went to work and I was doing good. I was a little over quota because I was there to make money. And I was serious about seeing if it was true what they said, that you could make full-time money. So I kind of put it to the test. And I had a really good trainer. I will say that also made a huge difference for me. And then 9/11 happened and I was calling in the Northeast. They talked about doing drive-to markets because people couldn't fly and the future was kind of uncertain. And my manager came, he says, Janet, great news, you've got a drive-to market. So I'm thinking I'm going to call in the Southeast to still invite people to come to Orlando. He said, it's a New Jersey resort. I'm like, New Jersey? I know nothing about New Jersey. Who goes to New Jersey for vacation compared to Orlando? I'm going to be homeless. And he said, just do the best you can. And I was calling New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania, those 3 states. So I started calling and some people were really like, oh, wow, where are you calling from? Do you know what's happened? And so I kind of got these different sort of responses. And some people were really angry, like, y'all are horrible people, and they just hang up. And sometimes people be like, oh, wow, what are things like there? I don't always trust the news. And it was just such a different experience. And finally, one lady purchased. So I had to know the reason she purchased because I was kind of almost in disbelief. I'm like, is she pulling my leg? But she said, you know what? I bought this because they had a year to use it. It gave her something positive to look forward to. And she said it gave her the sense that 9/11 would not allow her to feel defeated. That this was her way of saying, not only are we not going to be defeated, but she knew the value of spending time with people she loved and cared for. And she needed that time to get away more than ever. And it really struck me that I had to listen to what people had to say. So when I called, I still pretty much said the same thing. I made the presentation, told them about the offer. And I would ask, so my ask question was a little different. I said, do you feel now more than ever you're going to need to get away in the next year? Almost everybody said yes. Not everybody purchased, but my sales tripled. And I was in this disbelief in a good way. But it made me such a core believer in using the phone, taking the time to really listen to people and understand they still want to get away. They just kind of had a different reason and outlook for that. And ever since, I've just always used the phone. And I know that you can make that connection, you can build relationships, and you really are able to just build your business And you don't have to be sleazy, salesy, and all that. You can truly care about people, have a great product or service. And, now I do business to business. And, the way I look at it is because I also use email a lot, sometimes direct mail, some other tools, but you can ask the question if they would like to purchase or maybe just have a meeting, something like that, because they know you're wanting to earn their business. But it's easier sometimes to do it in an email or a letter if it's not comfortable on the phone. So I kind of teach people different ways to ask to earn people's business if they don't feel totally comfortable on the phone. That's kind of how I got started and kind of where I'm at now.
Well, yeah, I love that story. And I love what you said about listening to what people have to say. It's what got me into the work I'm doing, is especially in the world of health. I was feeling like I wasn't being heard by medical professionals, and I wanted to just be listened to in many ways. And it is a core value that we don't realize. People want to know what they have to say matters and that they're being heard. And if we think about that as something that's at the core, at the essence of all of us, it's with everything, with our health, with our sales, with our marketing, with our communication, in our relationships, with everything. It's if we can create a safe space for people to feel like they are heard, and then we can set our own boundaries to make sure we're in safe spaces that we feel heard, a lot of stuff goes out the window. A lot of assumptions, judgments, the blame shame game, like it really does go out the window. And so I have a feeling, especially in my line of work, it helped me to grow personally. Has there been things that have helped you to grow personally, to get to the place you are? You stop working for someone else, you're working for yourself. But in this line of work of feeling safe to be heard, how has that affected you personally? Or is there anything that really you could share with people that you've either come through or come out the other side or feel empowered around?
I will say, and I would say this also happened at the Marriott when it was such a tragic time. I too, I was going through a divorce, and it was just my life was, I was struggling, and yet I was doing okay. I had this hard time of, calling the people I'm calling and knowing how, because some people, I'm not kidding you, they would tell me things that just, I can't even forget, but that they had loved ones that they knew had passed away. And I'm like, this is hard to listen to. And so my own struggles, I felt like I couldn't feel bad for myself because my life was actually okay in comparison, but I was still kind of hurting a lot inside, and I didn't know how to cope and deal back then. So I did start just learning different ways of coping, whether it be meditation, pray, using different visualization, just some other therapies, if you will, that I just sort of Googled and was trying to figure out on my own because I didn't have money to go anywhere or have someone help me. And what I learned a lot about people when they are hurting or when they're grieving, because I knew a lot of these people had experienced, the whole world really had experienced a tragedy, but I'm calling in the very area where people are telling me their personal stories, and it affected me. And I wanted to be able to continue to work and still be that person that could, some days I would just tell people, hey, is it okay if I say a quick prayer for you? And they would always say, thank you. I will certainly do that, and I did just right there. It's almost this 2-second prayer because I had to work very fast, but letting them know, I believe everything will be okay. I know it's difficult, but then I could be better for others and still be able to take care of myself. So it made me realize how important that self-care is even back then. And I learned so much just about human beings grieving. We aren't always rational. We all aren't always reasonable, and that's okay. I can still care about people no matter if they're angry at me. They're going through stuff. It had no real direct connection to me just because I'm making a phone call and they're having a really difficult time. So I could get beyond that And instead of, I used to have days where somebody might yell at me or say horrible things, and I would just almost be in tears. I just almost was like, I don't know if I can keep doing this. But I had, like I said, I had a great manager, great training. He says, you're doing good, Janet, hang in there. And he would say, take a 5-minute break if you need to. So I just kind of learned all those different ways to cope, take care of myself so I could be there for others, even though it was just kind of a quick phone call and people I don't know. But it gave me a sense of purpose that I could do something good, even if it was for a quick moment. I could just keep calling and talking to people and let them know something positive, let's pray, or I believe everything's going to be okay. I know this seems chaotic. So I don't know if that answered the question, but that's kind of, where I come from.
What I'm really hearing from you, Janet, is I think something that's really powerful in what you had to say, which is, we have no idea what everybody is going through when we are talking to them, whether we are on the phone in a marketing call, whether we are in the line at checkout at the grocery store. We really have no idea what other people are dealing with. And sometimes their responses to us is just their stuff. Mm-hmm. And it really has nothing to do with us. And I love that you're saying you started to take care of yourself, because then you make it what is your business, what you can take care of, what you can control. Yeah. You then become the controller of your life, because so often we let other people's circumstances try and control us.
Yes.
And that, I think, was a really big insight to what you shared.
Thank you.
And everybody that's listening, whether you do marketing or not, whether you're asking for a sale, whether you're asking for someone to come to your event or follow your business, or whether you're just asking someone for something over the phone or wanting better communication with family and friends, we always come into a situation with another having our own stuff and they have their stuff. And so often they start to get intertwined.
Yes.
And what could be possible if we just take control of what's ours?
Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
It takes the weight off, because I think we don't realize, because it's energy and we don't see energy with the human eye. It's a lot of energy to hold on to when we're holding on to other people's stuff, isn't it?
It sure is. It sure is. Yes.
And in personal or in business, that then stays with us.
It does.
Right? I mean, I had a conversation with a group of people last week in an event, and I was sharing, before I kind of learned about powerful boundary work and self-care, I'm in the healing realm. I would come home completely exhausted because I had everybody else's stuff on me. And that's just energetic. And it would be crazy, because in the massage world, they told us at our school, they're like, make sure you do however you need to clear yourself. Make sure you do it. And I was like, yeah, whatever, I didn't listen until I started like getting the same shoulder pain that my client had. And I was like, oh, there's something to this.
Yeah.
And I then began my journey, and kind of like similar to you were like, I began my journey of taking care of myself so that I know what I'm in control of.
You got it. It's exactly true.
Yeah. And to me, then it gives us that are business owners, it gives those of us that are out there selling stuff, it gives us an opportunity to make that now an invitation, a possibility for someone, versus a demand, like a controlling kind of energy. It then, to me, and I would love kind of your input in this, especially because for those that are in sales and marketing, this happens with so many people. Like, I don't want to come across salesy, sleazy, like the sleazy car salesman thing, or whatever it is. It's
right.
When we are taking care of ourselves, we're in our own space, our own energy, and we're giving people an invitation, a possibility. To me, that's expansive energy. When we're
Yes.
telling people and we're kind of trying to fit people into a box, fit people into something, that to me feels constraining. There doesn't feel like there's possibilities. It's like, here is where you can live in this sale, instead of here is where you can live in this sale. Do you have any ahas or insights just from me sharing that, especially in the work that you do?
You know, I guess, you know, it's about giving people options and different, you know, finding the solution that's really best for them.
Yeah.
Because if you have sort of like you said, a box for them to fit in, not everybody's going to fit in that space and that, you know, box like a cookie cutter. It's, you know, some will, but when you want to really, and even just leave a positive impression, you know, part of my marketing when I make phone calls was always make a positive impression, at least the best you can. And because people may not buy on that call, you know, but at the Marriott, I think they would, they'd call people about twice a year. So if they didn't buy from me or someone else, I might get a lead that somebody had called 6 months before. And if they left a positive impression, I have a much better chance of them seeing, you know, because they see it as the company, because they don't know us as people, you know, they don't remember my name, and you know, it's so you always want to leave on a positive impression. So even if somebody says no, I'm not, or you know, y'all can go talk to the devil. I've had that people say stuff like that to me. It's like, you know, hey, you know, have a nice day, you know, at least let it go and just keep moving. So that, because they might have just, I've had people kind of, they say it to pull my leg. Other people are really in a bad mood. You just don't know. So, but you know, just kind of have to say something to leave it positive. So they always, when they think of the company, they can always see your company as, oh, you know what, they're good people. You know, you kind of get a little, you know, angstified with them, but they'll still be okay. And you know, they're good to do business with because they're good people. And that's always the impression to leave with. And you know, I had a call that I'll never forget. This lady, I had called her, and I'm not kidding you. I used to say, I know it was the devil coming through the phone line herself, and she let me have it. I could not make another call. And I told my manager, I said, I have never had anybody yell at me and say stuff like that before. It was like, it really affected me. And I thought I had, you know, built up that exterior armor. And we had sort of this rule, or my manager did, that you have to call all your leads at least twice, or you don't get more leads. And I need those leads because they would rotate, you know, we would get new leads every 2 weeks. And then I didn't call her. I'm like, I can't call her. And he's like, you have to call her. I'm like, I'm not. He says, she probably won't even answer. Just call. Finally, I called, and I was so bracing myself, and she answered, and I'm freaking out. I'm thinking like, oh my God, I'm like, here she is again. She's going to chop my head off this time. You know, I'm thinking the worst. And she said, are you the Janet that called me last week? And I'm like, oh dear God, she remembered. You know, and I'm like, yes, because I'm like, how am I going to be nice? Because I can't say anything, but I'm also not really in a good mood. And she said, Janet, I want to apologize to you. You did not deserve for me to talk to you that way, and I am sincerely sorry. She says, my husband had just passed away. I was waiting for my daughter to call. You called. She's in Florida. I saw the 407. I thought it was her. And when you called, she says, I was in that grieving moment and extreme anger, and I just lashed out at you. And I just want you to know I am sincerely sorry. And of course I said, oh, it's okay. Don't even, I totally understand. And what it did for me is it gave me the ability to realize we really don't know what's going on in people's lives. It really didn't have anything to do with me. And I'm so grateful I called her, because I probably would have held on to that for a very long time. And it allowed me to release, and it allowed me to learn how to apologize even better when I sometimes am in a bad mood. You know? That it's okay. It really is our own stuff. And it has nothing to do with, you know, you or the other person, that, we each have our reasons for doing that. So I learned from that. I'll never forget it. She was the nicest lady in the world. And why I was thinking otherwise, it's just how the brain sometimes will take us there. So I really caution myself to not assume anything about someone or think they're just going to yell
like
at
that.
me
And
again.
I think this can be really great in bringing it all full circle in what you're sharing, because we're talking about the unapologetic woman hour. And then we're also sharing how sometimes people apologize for their behavior.
Yeah.
To truly be unapologetic within ourselves in these moments that we're sharing, and what Janet is sharing with all of you, it's to realize what she's saying. Let go of assumptions and hold on to your own stuff. That's other people's stuff, and we don't know what's going on in their lives, in whatever is. But to be unapologetic in your stand that you have to make about how you want to make offers and invitations, and what you're saying is really great. I think this is the bullet points. What I'm hearing from you, Janet, is when we're unapologetic in our marketing and we're unapologetic in our communication, we are taking on the control of what's ours to take onto and not taking other people's stuff.
Yeah.
We're offering a possibility and leaving people with a positive impression. This is the most important piece, because then it gives them the most authentic response that is right for them.
Yep.
A yes, a no, it could be a possible referral, or just a feel-good moment.
Yeah.
We get those I don't knows, or we get those who are you to say this. We get that energy. Sometimes we don't realize that is somebody else's stuff.
Yep.
And we can always ask ourselves, was I being open to possibility for the yes and for the no? I always say in my business, I am completely happy with a no. I don't knows or ghosting or not responding is where I struggle. And so I'm constantly, like you're saying, trying to leave it people in a safe space, because so many people right now don't want to feel manipulated, and they don't want to feel taken advantage of. And so in the climate we are in currently, safe space is so important. It gives people their possibility of saying the authentic yes or the authentic no, because they're not feeling the pressure. Would you agree with that?
I definitely agree with that very much. And, sometimes a no just means no at this time, because there's always another time. Yeah.
It could be a not yet. Their no could actually turn into somebody else's yes that they're in relationship with, like a friend's yes. So their no could be a friend's yes. So we never really know where the no's can lead us to a yes.
Exactly.
I want to leave people with that. Is, we're talking about the unapologetic woman hour with marketing and in our sales. It's being unapologetic in the container you want to set in your branding and in your business. And what Janet is leaving you with here are gems. Safe container, knowing what's your stuff and what's theirs, and leaving people with a positive impression, because the positivity gives possibility.
Yes.
Yes. So I know people might want to learn a little bit more. You said you help people with, email, and you also help people with phone. How is the best way for people to reach you? Maybe your website, and then any other opportunities where people can follow you.
Oh, sure. My website is www.learntelephone-talk.com. And on Facebook, you can find me at my Facebook group. And I just started it, so I'm really excited about it. It's Phone Calls That Convert. So I welcome everybody to join that.
I love it. And people, anyone out there that's running their own business, something powerful happens over the phone that doesn't happen in an email or a social post. Some of the biggest sales I received as a business owner is I took the time to get on the phone with someone. So Janet can really help you to get over the fears that you're having, because it can be a really powerful part of your business. And if you're not doing it, there's so much money on the table that is waiting for you if you do it. So I encourage you to check out Janet. and be more unapologetic in making your ask for the beautiful gifts and services you have to offer. And as we close out, Janet, I always love to end our conversations with this question, but what does it mean to you to be an unapologetic woman?
I think to be unapologetic, and I kind of learned this early on, is, never apologize, for who you are, what you do, the products and services you have to offer. And I say, just always put it out there. You never know. That you do, if you have a product, services, both, just put it out there, because people will be interested. And if they're not, okay, because not everybody's going to. So and I have no I don't know how to say this. It's kind of like what I do is more than just the phone calls and the emails. It's also database development. I have one client, he's like, just get me the intel, because you can learn things on a phone call that you're not going to always learn about in a automated system, or even an email. People won't put things in writing that they might tell you on the phone. And that's really where you make that connection, you build that relationship, whether they do business or not, because there's been people I have called and said, I want to know who's marketing, Janet. Who are you working for now? Because they may, I tell you, some of these people, I swear they have more money than they know what to do with. And they are always wanting to learn who's growing their business, who's wanting to market, because they may know people that would be interested. And some people say, I got this new customer, I don't even know where they came from. And I'm telling you, so don't apologize for who you are, and don't be afraid to put it out there. You may not always feel comfortable asking, but you can always ask a question like, is this something you might be interested in? Because they might not. That's kind of an easy question. And if they say no, that's okay, but at least you are asking. And if you don't feel comfortable asking, I say that's okay too, because when you make that introduction, I say the fortune is in the follow-up, because you can always make a follow-up call. So don't apologize for who you are and what you do. That's kind of my main motto.
Love it. Thank you for being with us, Janet, and helping people to see how to be more unapologetic and making the ask. And it's been an honor to be with you here and having this deeper conversation. I really want to thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. It's great to be here.
Awesome. And I do know, as we're kind of closing out, since we are live, I want to just check in with you. Is there anything you have going on right currently that anyone could hop in on and explore a little bit more with your support in your social media or on your website?
I'll tell you, they can, my email is socialenterprisers@gmail.com. And my company name is actually Social Enterprisers. And other than that, the Facebook group, I go live in there every week. I give tips. We just have a lot of fun. So
awesome. Yeah, I would
great.
definitely recommend going into the private Facebook group. Having tips like that can just help to build that confidence in making the ask. So check Janet out. You'll have information on how to connect with her more. And let's all be more unapologetic with making our asks. Thank you, Janet. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in live.